All right, what's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? All right, check it. Let me just make sure that the audio works. I got to get everything going. I'm gonna do volume uh, part two of this book, um, the Anacalypsis Volume 1, in an attempt to draw aside the veil of the Saitic Isis, or an inquiry into the origin of languages, nations, and religions. So I guess everything seems like it's working because I can hear myself on my phone. Yep. So, all right. So a couple of days ago, I did this book right here. You know what I'm saying? Let me make it bigger for y'all. I did this book right here, Anacalypsis Volume 1 from Godfrey Higgins. He wrote these books in the 1900s, 1833. And he's actually somebody that I inspired to be. He researched 6 to 10 hours a day, read at least 6 to 10 hours a day, and he wrote some books. And they're very interesting books. Uh, I there's not even enough words out there to even put to what kind of books these are. But before I start, I want to give a shout out to my homie Lil Vibe. Hopefully this works. So I'm gonna check the audio. Um, but Lil Vibe, he has a very unique way of presenting his music, and I like it very much because it reminds me of the old hip hop, old school rap theory when they they was talking about educating people and stuff like that, about how they lived and so on and so forth, and how to do better things and so on and so forth. A lot of people that listen to rap and hip hop today, they only focus on the negative, and it's the negative that's being promoted, just like how misinformation is mostly promoted. I have to say, let me share this real quick before we start with Lil Vibe stuff. But my book is out now. I actually made ranked number 1 in 3 different categories as of the third day in of me publishing my book. Category Mesopotamia, right? And we got prehistory, and then Assyria, Babylonian, Sumer. And this is, Journey Through the Origins of History is my book title, number 1 in each one of those. And I don't have the money to promote my stuff. I don't have the gimmicks and all that other stuff. I just, jump on here and just share what I shared. Most of my promotion was through Twitter, Facebook, and so on and so forth, but I appreciate everybody that bought my book. But jumping back into Lil Vibes music, I gotta say his music is very very inspirational. One of my favorite songs is Ambitions. I'm gonna play, hopefully if it goes through, I'm gonna play these two. I got permission from him to play these, and I'm gonna be working with him more on creating content along with him and his music. He has a lot of good instrumentals. He has a lot of good wordplay, so I got to give a shout out to him for that. But let's see if this works. Hopefully this works. If it works, it can test with my thing.
Say what? I can't. Sorry. What up? I do. What up? Next. Yeah. I'm right. Yeah. Come on. See. Got ambitions on my mind and I can't let them go. Gotta stay up on my grind, almost sleeping on the floor. Came up from the pennies, now we stacking nickels in the drawer. On my dresser, guess I got the pressure building on the low. Hit the joint and then I blow it, now I'm spinning around the globe. Put my name up in the bleachers and my people in the dough. Never scared to take a beat, you know I eat them with the flow. I don't need them, I've been scheming with the preacher and the post. Play these demons while I'm eating, no hell, I don't need no poke. Pick a season, now I'm teasing in the bees on the boat. Had to please it cause they sucking all my dogs off on the low. Don't be when you see me, PTSD like pop smoke. Fuck a joke, came up broke, remember sleeping on the floor. Hella broke, hella niggas steady hating on the floor. Now they broke, and I'm packing out arenas with the shows. Blowing Keeper in the Sutherland, saluting to the soul, yo. Woo. Saluting to the soul, yo. Saluting to the soul, yo. Got ambitions on my mind and I can't let them go. I've been thinking about these things since a tender age of 4. Who would know I would grow to be a father and a goat? Sleeping woke, tipping toeing through the valley of the ghost. Off the coast with my lady going shopping for a boat. Single float, come to shop like I'm Katie with the post. Through the grass, finishing Mortal Kombat, little bro. Like a boss, I was built to win, shining on the host. Crystal Cardo, golden diamonds, stay together on the rope. Getting better every second, been improving on my goals. Been a veteran, I'm moving through the obstacles and hosts. Falling deeper in the dream that's been implanted in my soul. Getting paper, chasing dream and staying meaner with the flow. Than I ever been in heaven, and I'm rhyming like the Pope. Got the medicine for remedies afflicting on your soul. Calling Kiefer in the Sutherland, saluting to the soul, yo. Saluting to the soul, yo. Salute to the soul, yo. Oh.
Got ambitions in my mind. Can't let them go.
That's it. Victory.
I'm not even gonna lie, that's a good song, but I gotta play the second one because this one is an inspiration for me too. But it's this one right here.
Yeah.
You know, there's levels to this. You know, that's why I made number one in 3 different categories. Levels to this.
Hitting new levels will come on the bezel and not on the iron, the rock heavy metal.
So I appreciate this little vibe for letting me promote your music.
Hitting new levels will come on the bezel and not on the iron, the rock heavy metal. Whoa, hey, yeah. Hitting new levels will come on the bezel and not on the iron, the rock heavy metal. Whoa, hey, yeah. Hitting new levels will come on the bezel, the nine on the iron, the rock heavy metal, the fire and the power. I grind by the hour. We working on building the whole damn empire. The sounds in the stars, mine is on Mars. Nikola Tesla, lightning bars. Ain't down broke, man. I'ma go hard. Need a big house, big watch, big car. Need a big house, big watch, big car. Need a big bang, man. Need to go yard. Living high fashion in the last days. I don't give a damn, man. Let them eat cake. I don't give a damn what a hater gon' say. Hard to see an ass who got a fool get paid. Getting revenue every time, make a wave. Red up like the water, cause we making these waves. Red up like the water with a game like slaughter. Really on my mind, live, I be around high. Laughing to the bay while I'm taking all these dollars. Getting real high while I'm pulling that's la la. Putting numbers on the board like it was a hop. Pray to the pancake like it was a hop. Got the studio doing numbers like a trap out. In the backwoods, been a corner with a strap out. Hitting new levels will come on the bezel, the nine on the iron, the rock heavy metal, the fire and the power. I grind by the hour. We working on building a whole damn empire. The signs and the stars, mine is on Mars. Nikola Tesla, lightning bars. Ain't down broke, man. I'ma go hard. Need a big house, big watch, big car. Need a big house, big watch, big car. Need a big payment, need a big fall. Need a big broom shake, make it go boom. Abracadabra, I light up the room. Bury the written, I leave it in tune. Wetting my whistle while humming this tune. Hitting the high notes just like it's a fluke. Take the mask off, I'ma do what it do. Stacking the stacks like it's Scooby to do. Blowing the day like it's Pepe Le Pew. Up in my whip, got that pew pew pew. Said to me, quick, get that COD2. This time around, disobeying the rules. Writing some new ones and breaking cocoons. Smoking papaya, it look like cartoons. Off of the Zoom while I'm talking on Zoom. Hitting new levels, the chrome on the bezel, the nine on the iron, the rock heavy metal, the fire and the power. I grind by the hour. We working on building a whole damn empire. The sounds in the stars, mine is on Mars. Nikola Tesla, lighting bars. Ain't down broke, man. I'ma go hard. Need a big house, big watch, big car. Hitting new levels, the chrome on the bezel, the nine on the iron, the rock heavy metal, the fire and the power. I grind by the hour. We working on building a whole damn empire. The sounds in the stars, mine is on Mars. Nikola Tesla, lightning bars. Ain't down broke, man. I'ma go hard. Need a big house, big watch, big car. Need a big house, big watch, big car. This the last verse, no, I'ma go hard. Gripping this mic while dropping these bars. Got the double R, ain't talking Rick Ross. Talking Rolls Royce while I'm drinking my Voss. Got massage seats, they massaging my balls. I got no limits, cause love is the law. Everything else is just more facade. Black out the sun like it's Persians and Sparta. With the Lion King, I Hakuna Matata. Making a way for my wife and my daughter. Heart that got colder from all of the trauma. I'm really numb, feeling just like a monster. Auto suggestion, I'm on autopilot. Blowing the green just like it was vomit. Without my jaws like balls with vomit. Hitting new levels will come on the bezel, the nine on the iron, the rock heavy metal, the fire and the power. I grind by the hour. We working on building a whole damn empire. The signs in the stars, mine is on Mars. Nikola Tesla, lightning bars. Ain't down broke, man. I'ma go hard. Need a big house, big watch, big car.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to be doing a lot of editing on this. But let's go back just to make sure, because I'm not sure what everybody caught. I'll go back and edit this later on. All right, so yeah, this new soundboard and there's new stuff that I'm trying to work out and make sure that everything sounds good. Is That's why I said I'm doing this on my own. All this stuff that I'm doing is on my own. But y'all got to see what Lil Vibe was messing with. That's what I like. So I'll do some editing after this. Let's see, 12 minutes and 19 minutes. Okay, cool. So all right, so basically what I was talking about earlier, if you couldn't hear me, was 666 years. In the great year was the Soli lunar, right? And it was caused by the precession of equinoxes of 24,000 years. Now, this is what was interesting to me. It says the lunisolar period of 666 years was abandoned when its incorrectness was perceived. So they basically found an incorrectness. So that's just what it is. Okay, here we go. The Saros, according to Barosas, consisted of 6,660 years. 6,660 years, yeah. 6,660 days. Okay, yeah, the Saros, according to Barosas, consisted of 6,660 days. And Siculus and Abinus tells us that it was a period of 3,600 years. But Suidas, an author contemporary with Siculus, says the Saros was a period of lunar months amounting to 18 years and a half, or 222 moons. So when I hear 3,600 years, I can't believe I'm saying this all over again, because like I said, I'm doing this all on my own, man. This audio, I'm gonna get all this all correct and good to go. It don't matter, you know what I'm saying? It's whatever. I'm trying. But when I hear 3,600 years, I usually hear what Zachariah Sitchin talks about. And Zachariah Sitchin talks about planet Nibiru that orbits the sun our sun every 3,600 years, which would be including their sun, I guess, too. And there's no actual ancient Sumer text that says that. Now, I actually made number one in ancient Sumer, Mesopotamia, and Babylonian categories on Amazon from my book. And I can tell you that from my research, there's no actual text that talks about, a planet Nibiru. When it talks about a Nibiru, it's not from Sumerians, it's usually from the Babylonians, and it's usually through a story that has something to do with Jupiter. I can never remember the festival because I can never say it right, but I know it starts with the T. And I've talked about it plenty of times and I brought it up, but that was pretty interesting. So we're just going to move to the next tab. Here we go. I consider that the Hindu religion was not the produce of premeditation, but like most other circumstances of accident, and that it kept pace in some measure with the gradual approximation of their astronomy to perfection. And I think it is pretty clearly that it must have been fully established sometime about the year 3100 BC. So this is what is interesting to me. Okay. The Sumerians started around 3200 BC. That's what they say when it comes to the cuneiform tablets, right? That's not me saying that. That's, what modern academia says. This book was written around 1730 something. I'm just going to say, I don't know the exact date that he wrote it, but it was published around 1733. So I don't know exactly when he started writing it, because as an author, you just start writing when you start thinking of what you want to write, or at least that's what I did. And in this book, in the 1733, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure it's 1733. Yeah. Godfrey Higgins. You know what? I should just, I'm pretty sure it's 1733. Let me make sure, because I don't want to say anything that's incorrect. Godfrey Higgins, because I'm very big on that. As somebody that's trying to get as close to the date as possible, or this text as possible. Okay, 1836 is when he published. Okay. So 1836 is when it says it was published. Okay. And it says in here that the Hindu religion started around 3100 BC. So even with him just with his information without the science, the dating, and so on and so forth, he was able to come up with the date of 3100 BC. So that's pretty interesting, right? And it says, I will now endeavor to the point of the truth of my theory in another way. We would take for granted the truth of the millenary period of 6,000 years as an age, the age of iron. The ages are supposed to be in the proportion of 3, 4, or 4, 3, 2, 1, the same as those of the Grecian Hesiod. Now, if we take the last to be 6,000 and count backwards, we shall have, and then it shows present Iron Age of Kaliaj, and it says 6,000, it says silver 12,000, it says gold 10,000. I'm just going to show y'all what it says because I'm not going to come up with nothing but showing y'all the facts. That's what I read, right? So anything else besides that is what you want to come up with. So let me just make sure the audio keeps working because I just got to make sure this works. I know after today, this will be good. Yo, if anybody ever wants to help and be, help me with this, let me know. I love doing this. If you want to be on these live shows, yeah. So here we go. Yeah, it's working. So yeah, if you want to help, if you want to make sure that I'm doing what I'm doing, you know what I'm saying? Hey, I'm live. Hey, let me know. But anyway, the anonymous author of Cambridge Key to the Mythology of the Hindus endeavors to prove this theory of increasing numbers to apply to the period before the deluge of 900 years. Thus, 400, 300, 200, and the last were 10 to that now running. But here, his theory completely fails because the last period, instead of being as it ought to be, only 100 years has already extended since the flood. According to his own account, to near 4,000 years. If the above scheme be right, if the Kali Yuga or the last 6,000 began 3100 BC, there ought to be 1,070 yet to run as 3,100 plus 1830 plus 4930 plus 1070 equals 6,000. Here I hope I said those numbers right, so nobody be like, that don't match up at 6,000. So I'm going to just say it again. 3,100, 1830, 4930, 1070 equals 6,000. Here we have the famous 6,000 of the Hindu Jews, Greeks, and Romans for one extreme, and the famous Mahayag, or great year, for the other, the year when all things were to resolve themselves into the deity. Though this is a second system, it is evidently the same in principle and in the two imperfect coordinates. The only difference between the areas of Christ and Buddha is that one is calculated from the birth, the other from the death of the person from whom the cycle is named. So this chapter, this book, let's see where it starts at. It's basically where you'll get an in-depth information of what I'm talking about. So it's chapter 2. Let me just verify, make sure that I'm not looking at it wrong. It could be in different books, but okay, yeah. Chapter 2, Cassini, Library, Cycles, Isaiah's prophecy known to the Egyptians and the Celts of Gaul, mystical meanings of the letter M, explanation of the Oriental astronomical systems. Subject continue. Mr. Bentley, Baros's mosaic in the Hindu systems, various prophecies. Martinez Capella's subject and continue. There we go. So that's what that's talking about. But though the sun and moon would have the same relative positions, the planets would differ in each of the cycles. Hence, Mr. Bentley was induced to believe that Krishna was first born in the last cycle, whereas he was in fact born in each of 5 preceding ones. His first birth was at the egress of Noah, or Menu, from the ark, which the Hindus say took place when they suppose the sun entered Aries at the vernal equinox, in which they fixed at 3101 years before Christ. I'm just reading what he says from his book. And what I marked up, what I found interesting, this is what else I found interesting. Duhalde, Duhalde, in the history of China, informs us that the Chinese had a prophecy that a holy person was to appear in the West. And in consequence, they sent to the West, which I think would be Upper India, and that they brought thence the worship of Fo, i.e., Buddha, whom they call FWE or KYAU and SHEKYA. This is evidently the Aya of Diodos and the Aya of Genesis, and the Sakya, the name of Buddha. I'm just reading from what the book said back in the day. Don't get mad at me. I'm reading from 1836, y'all. Okay, 1836. This is what they was talking about, Christ and Buddha. That's why some people believe that Christ, Buddha, and Krishna are one and the same. It's not me saying it. It's people who was doing this research. You got to remember, back in 1836, people ain't had cell phones. They ain't have computers. They had televisions. They ain't had nothing to distraction but books. So what they was doing was reading. That was their entertainment. Don't get mad at me. Just read the text. Let me get something to drink. The same bear as Jaritos. Yo, Jaritos, yo, if y'all want to sponsor me, let me know. You never know. You got to throw your business out there sometime. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, nothing astonishes me more than the absolute ignorance displayed in the writings of the ancients of the true nature of their history, their religions, mythology, and in short, of everything relating to their antiquities. At the same time, it is evident that there was a secret science possessed somewhere which must have been guarded by the most solemn oaths. Now, what does that sound like? Alchemy. See, when people tell you about the emerald tablets and this, that, and the third, they telling you because what they think is cool. Why don't you go back to Godfrey Higgins in 1836 and see what he was talking about? This missing science, which is known as alchemy. Anyway, let me keep going. And though I may be laughed at by those who inquire not deeply into the origins of things for saying it, I get laughed at all the time. That's why I love Godfrey Higgins, because I go to the origins of everything. That's why my book is titled the way it is, because I'm trying to find the origins. But anyway, you know, and when it comes to extraterrestrials and all that other stuff, there's an origins for that. Guess what I'm looking for? The origins for it. But nobody wants to take my word for it because they're so stuck up with, let's make that money. I gotta try to make some of that money too, you know what I'm saying? But anyway. And though I may be laughed at by those who inquire not deeply into the origin of things for saying it, yet I cannot help suspecting that there is still a secret doctrine known only in the deep recesses, the crypts of the Tibet, St. Peter's, and the Kremlin. In the following passage, the real or affected ignorances of one of the most learned of the Romans is shown of what it was considered as the first consequences in their religion, the time of their festivals. Festivals. All religions have those type of festivals, right? Let's keep it going. I think it is probable that by Europeans, several allegories of the Hindus have been co-founded together, and it is exceedingly difficult to separate them. They are known to have had various periods called yugas or kappas, and it is not unlikely that their allegories alluded to the renewals of different periods, some to the renewal of all the visible nature, the fixed stars included, some to our planetary system, and some only to the renewal of our globe. In 1836, they called it a globe. I know some of these flat earthers are like, shut the fuck up. It's a flat earth, man. I love to have that discussion with any of you about flat earth, because I read a really good book about that. And then if you know me, I'm coming with them sources. But anyway, and to this last, the secular or ages of 606,000 years applied. It has been before observed that it was anciently thought that the equinoxes preceded only after the rate of 2,000, not 2160 years, 2,160 years, in his sign. This would give 24,000 or 4 times 6,000 years for the length of the great year. Hence, night arise their immensely lengthened cycles, because it would be the same with the great year as with common year if intercalations did not take place. Now it keeps going on and on and on about that. But if that sparks your interest, get the book. That's what I'm trying to do, is promote people to read. I want you to read. That's all I want you to do. Now, chapter is hold on, I'm just going to show you this chapter because I ain't even going to say it. Let's see. I know it's going to pop up. Oh, wait, hold up. Oh, no. Anyway, too late. So it's about the cross, the meaning of it, Justine and Terratumum on the cross. So basically the origins of cross. So the first thing that I marked up about the cross, and you'll probably be able to see this because that is really fine print. Let me see. There we go. There we go. See, hold on. Let me see. There we go. See, that's the chapter. And you see on the next page where it says where the T's at. That's what I'm about to talk about. All right. So now Jeff Benner, when you look up TAV, TAV, or TAW, or TAU, is an indication of a cross, which is 2 cross sticks, which means X marks the spot. Now, I've actually had the opportunity of speaking with Jeff Benner. He's on a podcast on my YouTube. And it's interesting that in 1836, when Godfrey Higgins wrote this book, the first tab that I wrote was Mr. Maurice describes a statue in Egypt as bearing a kind of cross in its hand, that it is to say a phallus, which among the Egyptians was the symbol of fertility. Fertility, that is, in other words, the productive, generative power. On the Egyptian monuments in the British Museum may be seen the mystic cross in great numbers of places, and upon the breast of one of the mummies in the Museum of the London University is a cross exactly in this shape, a cross upon a Calvary, and that's the one where I showed you all with the T. I'm just reading from what it says. The next tab, the sign of the cross is well known to all Romish Christians, among whom it is yet used in every respect, as it is described by Justin, who has the passage in his Apology, and whereas Plato in his Timaeus, which is also where you can find Atlantis, philosophizing about the Son of God, says he expressed him upon the universe in the figure of the letter X. Remember when I said 2 cross sticks as an X means X marks the spot? He evidently took the hint from Moses, for in the Mosaic writings, it is related that after the Israelites went out of Egypt and were in the desert, they were set upon and destroyed by venomous beasts, vipers, asps, and all sorts of serpents, and that Moses thereupon, by particular inspiration from God, took brass and made the sign of the cross and placed it by the holy tabernacle, and declared it that if the people would look upon that cross and believe, they should be saved, upon which he writes that the serpents died, and by his means the people were saved. X marks the spot, the T. Same thing that Christ died on. Now it gets into more into that, right? I mean, this is a whole book on this. I told y'all this is a thick book. But let's not forget or misinterpret that in 1836, Godfrey Higgins said this. Now, can anybody point out that he was lying or that it's not information that's correct? I'd like to hear it, because so far I haven't. In 1836 and to today, 2025, this information still holds up. Prove me wrong. Or prove him wrong, because I'm just reading what he wrote in 1836. I'm not the person that's out here trying to prove one person right over the other. I'm just telling you what I've read. If you have something that I can read that goes against that with facts, because researching this, X marks the spot, the 2 crosses, Jeff Benner, okay? I can't go against what I've already learned from people who study this language. But let's keep it going. The following are monograms of Christ, but it is unquestionable that they are also monograms of Jupiter Ammon. The same character is found upon one of the medals of Decius, the great prosecutor of the Christians. With this word, it Bapato. This cipher is also found on the staff of Isis and Osiris. Now, I might have not said that correctly, but this is basically it. So what you can do, if you don't believe what I say, you can take a quick screenshot, read these pages, and see what I'm talking about. But I'm reading what I said. Like I said, it says BA, and it looked like a PATO, but it could be something else, but it has a little X on the bottom. But like I said, just go and trust but verify. I always say that. I'm just reading what I'm saying. You know, I can tell you when I read something, and having other people read things and being in the same room with them, I can tell you that sometimes your eyes will play tricks on you and you will read something differently, but that's okay. That's why it's trust but verify, and that's why we help each other find the information. Not everybody's going to be 100%. You know I'm not 100% in anything because all I'm doing is reading what I read from him. On this subject of the cross, Mr. Maurice says, let not the piety of the Catholic Christians be offended at the preceding assertion that the cross was one of the most usual symbols among the hieroglyphs of Egypt and India. Equally honored in a Gentile in the Christian world, this emblem of universe nature of that world, to whose four quarters is diverging red eye pointed, decorated the hands of the most of the sculpted images in the former country, and in the latter stamped its form upon the most majestic of the shrines of their deity. So basically this cross can be found in Africa, okay, in Egypt. That's basically what they're saying. Like I said, right here, it even says right here, TAU. It brings us up. It was commonly called the Crus Ansata in this form, and was what was referred to in Ezekiel in the Vulgate in the ancient Septuagint accord. According to Louth, rendered, I will mark them in the forehead with a T or TAU, and that's where I was talking about, TAU, TAW. In 1833 or 1836, this is what Godfrey Higgins read. When I've read Jeff Benner's books from his translations of ancient Hebrew, I get the same information. So if you're proving Godfrey Higgins wrong, you don't have to prove my man Jeff Benner wrong. In this magical device of St. Ambrose, which is crossed with 8 points, here are the Alpha and Omega, the well-known emblems of eternity united to the cycle of 600, the X and the P pronounced to the emblems of eternal life. Now, do you know what another cross is? Well, I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure that Godfrey Higgins, well, I'm not going to say I'm pretty sure because he did have more books that he was going to come out after this. But when the Sumerian civilization came out, or were refounded, I guess you could say, he didn't have the luxury of knowing the cuneiform, but he did know about the Chaldeans and so on and so forth. And like I said, I have an 1873 Bible that says the Chaldeans, the Babylonians, and the Sumerians are one and the same. Now, they just had different names. Now, I don't know what Godfrey Higgins was going to write in his future books, but I can tell you from what I know is that according to the Akkadians, not the Sumerians, the Akkadians, and even individuals after that, Anu had an 8-pointed star, 8 points. Let's see if I can find it real quick. Let me see. Because I actually have let me see. 1, 2, 3. Okay, I have a t-shirt on it, but I don't have it with me. I'm not gonna pull it up here because I don't feel I just can't really worry about that right now. But you can look it up. Look up in those thing. Okay, here we go. From the cycle of 600 came the name of the bird phoenix, called by the Egyptians Phen, Phenn, with the well-known story of its going to Egypt to burn itself on the altar of the sun. So that's another thing. But the word ram in Hebrew means both bull and ram. This arose, I suspect, from the Indian incarnation of Rama, who preceded Krishna. In fact, he was the incarnation of Neros. Now Neros is interesting because 666. But when the sun left Taurus and entered Aries, thus he was incarnate of the sons of the bull and the ram. Like I'm telling you, I am literally a great source when it comes to this stuff because how many people, let me ask you, how many people do you know would take a book like this, right? And that's pretty bright. I need to probably like that and put this many tabs on it. Okay. Most people I know, they either take their books and they highlight what is important or they underline it, but I go tabs and I go back and I read these books and I'm like, wow, this is interesting. And this is the stuff that I talk about all the time. So just think about what I just said. That's interesting. In my Celtic Druids, whether I have his book, which I did on, I have proved that the first race of man after the flood came from about the latitude 45, perhaps Balk or Samarkand, and I'm going to spell it Samarkand, not from the northern Tibet. The following extract from the work of the Christian Jesuits will show that some of the Romish doctrines might have been copied and probably were copied by the Persian or Pythagorean school from a source different from the modern Christianity. Now, I just want to tell you something. I read his books. And he says, in my Celtic Druids, I have proved that the first race of man after the flood came from about the latitude 45. Godfrey Higgins said this in 1836. He was a Mason. And I know people, when they hear the word Mason, they're like, oh, you got that little fit. I'm just telling you, look what he's talking about. Look what I'm giving you. Did you know this? If you didn't know this, look at it, research it. I have. That's why I'm talking about it. That's why I'm giving this information out. A lot of people don't know this. I'm going to read this one more time. In my Celtic Druids, I have proved that the first race of man after the flood came from about the latitude 45, perhaps the Balk or Samarkand. I'm going to spell that Samarkand. This is from 1836. This is a reprint book that I have. I'm just giving you what I've read. If we're having a conversation on X, Clubhouse, or whatever, and you're like, hey, I know about the Celtics. I know about their history. I know this. And I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. That's interesting. And I raise my little hand. I'm like, hey, I want to speak like I'm back in school. And I say, hey, did you know this? And I read this. And then the person gets upset and say, hey, that's not true. I didn't ask you if it was true or not. I asked you if you knew this or not. And since it's not true, can you prove it? If not, then shut the fuck up and just listen. That's it. I'm literally just giving you what I read. That's it. In the Hindu mythology, we meet with a very important personage called Menu. He is allowed to be identical with Buddha and with the sun, and to be surnamed Son of the Self-Existent, or in other words, Son of God. So when people say Son of God, so like I said, when I'm in any space on X or Twitter or any discussion in anybody's living room or whatever, and they're like, oh man, this is pretty interesting. Do you know who Menu is? And I'm like, yeah, I know who Menu is. I raise my hand like I'm back in school, like a little kid, and say, yeah, he's allowed to be identical with Buddha and with the Son, and to be surnamed Son of Self-Existent, or in other words, Son of God. And then I say, and I add a little, to it and be like, guess who that sounds like? Jesus Christ. Oh man, you're an evil person. You're trying to say them two are the same. You're saying, I'm not saying that. I'm just telling you what I read. That's it. That's it. Menu, Menu. What did Jesus feed people with? How much bread and how much fish? What was on the menu? I'm just fucking with y'all, man. I'm so stupid. I'm stupid. I'm so dumb. Hold on. Where's that? Oh, there we go. We got fish and bread on the menu, y'all. Anyway, in addition to all the circumstances of identity between Krishna and Hercules, is the fact that they were both blacks. Oh my God, I'm about to, man. People, please don't. I got 30 people watching this. Please don't leave me now. Okay, this is a British man that was a historian that read 6 to 10 hours a day. Okay, and he's saying that Krishna, Jesus, and Hercules are the same. But hold on, let's add that little twist to it. Oh shit, some people about to be pissed off. Is the fact that they were both blacks. They both had my skin color. Now I'm just telling you, I just did an article on this, so y'all about to be into work. Y'all saying, oh man, but damn, man, please, hey, y'all 30 people, don't be mad at me. I'm just reading what Godfrey Higgins said. Okay? Said they was black. They black. What is your idea of a black? I'm considered black, and I got this type of hair. And I say this type of hair for a reason, but I'm just gonna leave that what it is. My wife told me that I need to stop wearing these beanies and stuff because some people, and I had some other people. My wife told me I need to stop wearing these beanies and start wearing my cowboy hat because some people were saying that I look too thuggish and stuff like that. Y'all can kiss my ass. I don't know what the fuck a thug looks like. But anyway, don't judge a book by its cover. Let's see. When the identity of the doctrines, hold up. You want some chips, buddy? Okay, go get some chips. Hold on. My son wants some chips. Hold on. All right, I'm back. All right, so let's see. All right, when the identity of the doctrines of Genesis with the story of Krishna is considered, the circumstances of the Egyptian city of Heliopolis or Materia, the city of the sun, as I have formerly shown, are very striking. It was the capital of Goshen. Goshen means house of the sun, where the Israelites settled under Jacob. It was here the priest Potiphar lived and officiated, to whose daughter Joseph was married. It was here where a Jewish temple was built by Onias, who was at the head of a sect of schismatical or heretical Jews, whose doctrines we cannot know or on what grounds they maintained that this was the proper place for the temple of Jehovah. But we do know that they were hated by the Orthodox, as almost always happened to heretics. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. All right, let's go to the next one. Let's see. It is clear to me that Desatir is a work of Sapien Buddhists, or Buddhists who worship as a kind of mediators the planets. With them, Hermas is Jupiter or Isopator. The planets are all named and are supposed to have intelligent souls and are called angels. So these planets, so when I did an article on this a while ago on my website, these planets, celestial objects or whatever, they were individuals who passed on here on Earth. So when you died here on planet Earth, your body will stay here and remain here, but your soul, or whatever you would like to call it, will go and become one of those celestial objects. Now, this is where I got this information from. And this is not just from the only place that I read this, but Native Americans talk about it. The Dogon tribe in Africa talk about it. The Chinese people talk about it. The Japanese also talk about it, of course, because the Chinese and Japanese mythology are about one and the same. So, of course, they did that. Let's do another check for this audio because, like I said, I don't have no producers. I don't have nobody to check this. So I don't know how. I'm trying to make sure this equipment continues to stay like it's supposed to work. There we go. That's all right. It's working. All right. Just making sure. Because last time I actually went like 30 minutes talking, and a little vibe actually got on and said, hey, man, we can't hear you. So And I had like 60, 70 people listening. So I was like, damn, ain't nobody satisfied. I guess they thought it was just cool. But anyway, it's cool. Worked out. Before the time of Moses, the Egyptians fixed the commencement of the year at the vernal equinox. In the Oriental Chronicle, it is said that the day when the sun entered into Aries was, and I don't know how to say this. I get that this is Latin, but it says, but this Egyptian festival commenced on this very day when the Paschal lamb was separated. Okay, so the lamb itself is also often called Pesach or the Passover. So that's where you get Christ at. In India, the devotees throw red powder on one another at the festival of the Holi or vernal equinox. This red powder, the Hindus say, is an imitation of the pollen of plants, the principle of fructification, the flower of the plant. Here we arrive at the import of this mystery. A plant which has not this powder, this flower or flower is useless. It does not proceed. It produce seed. Okay, the followers of Vishnu observe the custom or on grand occasions of sacrificing a ram. This sacrifice was called the yajna, and the fire of the yajna was called Yajna Sawa, or the god of fire. So fire, yeah, when I was talking about fire. So it just keeps going into that. Another example of lost significance is in the word Yah or Yah chanted in the ceremonies. I shall be told it means only victory, but it's not the God Jah, Ieue. And okay, so Yahweh is basically known as the God of war, and it says here it shall mean victory. So that's another one. When Jesus was baptized in the Jordan, a river having the same name as Padas and the Ganges, he was filled with the Holy Ghost or air in motion, which descended in the form of a dove, and the Agdi or Lord of Fire appeared in the water. So this is how they get Hindu and Christianity collaborations and similarities and so on and so forth. The Greeks have supposed by some persons to have learned the mythologies from the Egyptians, but I have shown on the authority of their own writers that all their old oracles came from the Hyborians by way of Thrace. So that's interesting. I consider Osiris, Bacchus, Astarte with the bull's head, Baal, or Baal, Mithra, Adonis, Apis, Buddha to have been contemporary or to have been constituted one class. So see, like, and it's a lot of information, man. Like, I wish I could just, I really wish I could just sit here and read these books to you guys about the information that's in here. Because when they say that in Hindu, Mesopotamia, Africa, or actually, I'm just gonna say all religions in one have a branch from the original, the origins, and the origin seems to come, and I'm just gonna say it comes from Africa. It literally does. I mean, I'm not the one that says it. It's these people that read that wrote these books from way back then to now. This is this, right? I have books from Masons like Albert Pike, and man, what's that? I always mess up that dude's name, and I'm not going to mess it up now. But he made the book Signs and Symbols, and he talks about it. Godfrey Higgins is another one. And they're all saying pretty much the same thing. And then when you look at history and you look at these depictions and you know what to look for and so on and so forth, when these people get on TV and so on and so forth, you're like, wow, I understand it. I know what that means now. And most people will look at me like I'm crazy because they'll be like, oh, well, you're reading something from a Mason, or you're reading from somebody that's religious. You're reading from somebody. There's got to be a reason why all these people are saying what they're saying. I don't know any of these people personally, and I'm sure none of these people that talk about them know about them personally. So you don't actually know what they're reading or what they're thinking. But if you read their books, it's very interesting. Like I'm saying, like here, I want to just pick something real quick. I'm going to just pick one paragraph that I didn't read, and I'm just going to read what it says. It's not a tab. The only tab is the one that's right here. So I'm just going to cover this one up. It says, from Waddington and Hamburg's voyage up the Nile, I think it appears that Egypt, as in Syria, the emblems of the conjoined sun, moon, and the cycle, the crescent, and the disk, which we are found on the oldest Tauric monuments, were taken from the bull and removal to the ram. I think that the lunate and the circle on the head of the bull in the later times on the head of the ram alluded both to the compound cycle of the narrows and to the precision and to the male and female generative powers. That's crazy because that's the yin and yang, the balance of the scales, the positive, the negative, the hate, the good, the love, the hate, I should say, the good and the bad. I'm going to keep going. Mr. Faber says that the Egyptian cosmogony, like the Phoenician, is professedly of the Buddhic school, for the fullest account which we have of it is contained in a book ascribed to Hermes or Thoth. But Hermes or Thoth is the same person as Tayut, A-T-A-U-T, who is said to have drawn up the Phoenician system, and Tayut, again, is the same as the Oriental Tat or Buddha. Now, this is where it comes interesting. Buddha is also known as Christ. Jesus is known as Buddha. Krishna. Now, I know a lot of people know that I harp on a lot on what Billy Carson says. And when Billy Carson says in his books, Emerald Tablets, about Jesus and Thoth being one and the same, he's not wrong. I can say that because when I read this book from 1836 from Godfrey Higgins, he says Hermes or Thoth. Well, Hermes, Thoth, then Gazeta are one and the same. They are also, according to Godfrey Higgins, known as Buddha and Krishna. But see, that's part of the information that Billy Carson is missing. He says something because he looks at it in a way of what his understanding is. But what does the actual ancient text say? And this is where I go to, and I can say, well, this is what the actual ancient text say. Okay. The Tau, T-A-U-T, which is also known as the cross, X marks the spot, is the emblem of Mercury of Hermes. It is the Crus Ansata, which I said about earlier. In the Crus Hermes, it was the last letter of the ancient alphabets, the end or boundary, which it came to be used as a terminus to districts. But the Crus Tau, T-A-U, was also the emblem of the generative power of eternal transmigrating life, and thus was used indiscriminately with phallus. I'm telling you, if people just want to know the truth, all you gotta do is just hit me up and just say, hey, what do you know about this? And I would say, hey, the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through all the Godfrey Higgins books and see what I have tabbed up about what you're saying. And then I'm gonna go to my other sources. But Godfrey Higgins is gonna be where I'm gonna start at. My theory has arisen for the close attention to the facts which transpire from the writings of a vast variety of authors, and is, I think, a theory which will be found to be established by them. I have not first adapted my theory and then invented my facts to confirm it. The facts have come first, and the theory is the consequence. Whether mine is sufficient to support the theory is the only question. Thus, this honest, I guess that's how you say it, be left to the reader, I feel confident that I can explain everything which appears inconsistent with the theory, unless it is very few of the histories of the inferior gods, which may very well be supposed to have been mistaken or mistreated by the priests whose ignorance or deceit is acknowledged. There is a representation of Abraham sacrificing Isaac, but Abraham has not a sword or a knife, but a thunderbolt in his hand. Can anything be more clear than that the makers of these very ancient gems considered that the story of Abraham covered a mythos? Vishnu or Krishna is often represented with thunder and lightning in his hand, as in the act of giving the benediction with their 3 fingers, and is wearing a triple crown. Now, Moses had a crown. He also had horns. He's actually the first representation of having horns. Moses is also known as a murderer. But when we're talking about Abraham, he is the founder of what we know as the monotheistic religions. And with Abraham, lightning with his hand, that's pretty interesting. So Moses and Abraham are very important individuals. And the reason why I brought up Moses is because of the crown thing. Let's go to the next tab. It will not be denied that the animal man is in many respects like most other animals with which we are acquainted, and the philosophers Buffon and Lawrence have proved that he partakes of the animal character in which greater degree than was generally admitted in former times. So, yeah, we already know humans are animals. Dr. Pritchard has observed that the Brahmins are, as might be expected, the finest formed race in India. Okay, that the Brahmins are, as might be expected, the finest formed race in India. He has also shown in a very satisfactory manner that the ancient Egyptians, the masters of Thebes, were Negroes, or that they were black with curly heads. 1836. Don't get mad at me, Hawass, punk ass motherfucker. Flood of Noah, learning of Genesis, text of Genesis, inland of seas, Asia, theory of learned camps. So this is just the chapter that's talking about it. I guess the most important thing is the flood of Noah. See, the first thing that I tapped up was there appears to be convincing reason to conclude the other pyramids to be concealed with this, as may be gathered by the sequel of the present discussion. I have before observed that there were I to hazard a conjecture of the pyramid being erected by the antediluvians, I should not want for arguments to bear me out. But if I have deceived myself and should fail in this attempt, still the pyramid will neither fail nor suffer any diminution of benefit, utility, and assisting in its discovery. It has been a very prevailing, not to say general opinion, that the sands which environ the pyramid and hide a great part of the reclining sides next to the foundation have been drifted by the winds from parts of the regions and enlarged in circulation strata now seen on every side. Now that's just interesting. He talked about the pyramids in 1833. Let's keep it going. Herodotus stated that the length of the side to be about 600 feet of our measure, about 583 feet. Mr. Greaves states it is to be 693 feet English, or 110 feet more. The French found the base of the pyramid 31 feet below the surface. Now, taking the area at height anchors, the builders must have removed 611,177 cubic yards to lay the foundation. And if Herodotus account be taken of the height of the pyramid and increased in depth of sand, it would be 3,745,928 yards. The French found Mr. Greaves' measurement to be correct. Now, I just want to tell y'all that's interesting because this is information about the pyramid. Like I hear people about Jimmy Corsetti. You know, when somebody gives you an opportunity to become on Joe Rogan, you know, they feel like you owe them, right? Your loyalty is on there. So I know a lot of people is not going to go after him, especially if you on getting opportunities to be on Joe Rogan. I'm gonna tell you right now, fuck that bullshit. I'm gonna tell you right now, if I think you're full of shit, you're full of shit. And I can tell you right now, Jimmy Corsetti is full of shit on a lot of stuff. And I can tell you because he has this idea that he says we have no idea how the pyramids were built. Well, obviously you don't fucking read books, and that's okay. And I made a whole rant about that. And honestly, that's all right. I give you that. You don't read books, and that's fine. And that's cool. You get to go to all these places, and you get to hype people up, and this, that, and the third. But when you pick up these books, and don't be mad at me, man. We both veterans, you know what I'm saying? I'm wearing right now a Wounded Warrior Project hoodie, you know what I'm saying? I was wounded in combat. Don't get mad at me. I got brain damage, bro. But anyway, fuck that. Listen to me. When you actually have somebody that can actually tell you and give you information and help you on your journey, take them on the ride with you. And what I mean by that is, and I'm not the person that only been talking about this. I've been seeing plenty of people that shared this with Jimmy Corsetti and so on and so forth. I can just back them up because I've actually read the material. I know they're saying that they read it from somebody else and read it from somebody else, but I'm actually having the book in hand, so I can tell you what it actually says. But I've read all of Herodotus' books, and I can tell you what it says. And we have an idea how the pyramids were built. You just have to understand what to look for. That's why I said earlier, signs and symbols. I'm not sure that dude's name. I always mess it up. And I talk about his book a lot. I just can never. I'm never really good with names like that. But anyway, I mean, he talks about this, and when you look at this stuff and you know what you're looking for, you can actually explain things. And when somebody's not trying to make money off the bullshit, you can absolutely see that all the shit that I'm sharing is free already. So I don't have no needs. Everything that I'm sharing is already out there. I can tell you where to go to. You don't even have to give me no credit for it. But we have ideas how the pyramids were built. I have an 1873 Bible that talks about pyramids in it. And I know right now, if you go to the store and buy a Bible, it's not going to talk about pyramids. But guess what? Mine will. In 1873, you'll have a Bible that says, and like I said, this book was written, this book right here, 1833. My Bible was written in 1873. Come on, I got a lot of books that talk about this stuff. If it be not thought possible that a great rush of water coming from the Euxine against Greece or Negropont might flow up Egypt, I know of no resource we have except perhaps the more probable theory of Mr. Gabb that in a universal deluge which raised up Mount Blanc and Cambarazzo, and which happened since the building of the pyramids and left them perfect and uninjured, the oyster shells may have been brought down from the mountains of the moon, for I know nowhere else they can have been come from. Now that's interesting talking about oyster shells because they found oyster shells inside the pyramids. Ask me where they found them and I can tell you. The worship of the Black Virgin and the child probably came from the east. The white one is the goddess Nortia or Notia of the Etruscans. I saw in the Palazzo in Manfrino at Venice in a collection of Etruscan antiquities some small figures of the Virgin and Child in bronze, evidently originally from Egypt, in the Museum of will be found in the. Okay, so this is basically about. I don't want to be incorrect because I know this is the chapter. Yep, the Virgin of Mary. This is where they say the Virgin Mary had skin like mine, like she was dark brown or light brown. Let's see. Mr. Maurice has observed that the sign of the zodiac cannot be of Egyptian origin because they are not adapted to the order in which the seasons succeed each other in Egypt. For instance, Virgo, with ears of ripened corn in her hand, evidently points to the season of harvest. Such, in fact, it is when the sun enters into September. But the corn harvest in Egypt is in March. The same argument applies to Aquarius, which denotes the chilling cold rains of winter, when in reality, the depth of winter is the season of pleasure in Egypt. All the arguments of Mr. Reese against Egypt being the birthplace of the zodiac signs apply with the equal force against India. They must, in fact, have all come from a latitude far higher than Egypt, India, or even Chaldea. Crazy, right? This ceases not to give attention to the missionaries and has perhaps given occasion to the Siamese to believe that the Jesus, being the son of Mary, was brother to Samono Kodum, and that having been crucified, he was that wicked brother whom they give to Samono Kodum under the name of Devatat, and whom they report to be punished in hell with a punishment which participates something of the cross. Wow. Apollos makes Isis say, I am nature, the parent of all things, the sovereign of the elements, the primary progeny of time, the most exalted of the deities, the first of the heavenly gods and goddesses, whose single deity the whole world venerates in many forms with various rites and various names. The Egyptians worship me with proper ceremonies and call me by my true name, Queen Isis. Isis is called Marinomus, or goddess with 10,000 names. Herodotus says that the Persian Mithra was Venus. Now, Venus Mithra. Mithra was born on December 25th. And I want you to look that up more. No person who has considered well the character of temples in India and Egypt can help being convinced of the identity of the character and of their being the production of the same race of people. In this race, evidently Ethiopian. Well, I was saying earlier, it comes from Ethiopia, Africa. I'm about to end this in a minute. The next one we're going to start. This is going to be a lot of series. There's a lot of stuff in here. But we already 1 hour in. Let's see. I got some comments I was on. Oh shit! Daniel Hopkins gave me some information. I wish I need to start paying attention to this. To these comments more often, which I will do. But I'm gonna put this one over here. I don't get too political, but I thought this was pretty interesting. But we'll leave that at there. The next spot that I'm going to start is going to be names of Jesus and Io, and we'll go from there. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I'll probably do it tonight. You know, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I have, since I've been wounded in combat, I have a hard time sleeping. And since I'm not sleeping at night, and I have this urge to share stuff, take breaks from reading, what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump online. I'm not going to do a schedule. So if you want to know when I'm online, just go to X or YouTube and just say, hey, let me know when he's online. I don't know how you can do that. Look it up if you want to, if you really care about it. If not, if when you wake up in the morning or you get bored and you want to, go to my YouTube and see what I did live or see what I posted on my YouTube. I'm always constantly posting something and doing something on there. And so if you miss out, you'll miss out. At least an hour in, you're going to get, at least for an hour, you're going to get good information. I'm just going to keep sharing. I'm going to go through every single book that I own, but I appreciate y'all coming in. Y'all take it easy.